let's chat about there's some great careers that came to an end in 2022. And we found out even just today that at the end of this year, JJ Watt's going to be done in the NFL, one of the best defensive players of all time. But we had some big retirements across multiple sports this year. We had Big Ben in the NFL. There was Federer and Serena. There was Shaun White. There was coaches that retired. But I'm going to start with you, Walker. What was the biggest retirement for you this past year?
I mean, it has to be Serena. I think she's kind of underrated in her own sport just from – I don't think people always fully appreciated the dominance that she had in a sport that it's so hard to be dominant in. And to do it for such a long time, a prolonged period of time, it almost reminds me a little bit like in ways of Tiger Woods in the golf game. And so I don't know, like just kind of watching her hang it up and honestly like kind of being sad watching her try to play because you just knew like it was time. And so that for me was kind of surreal, I guess, because like growing up as someone who quite frankly doesn't care about tennis, like if it was on though, because my parents cared, like she was playing and she was an icon. Like even I sat down and watched her, I was like, damn, she's good. Like she's crazy. And so I think losing like that, it's always kind of the biggest one of the year.
I'm with you on the Serena train. I think she's probably the most recognizable female athlete of all time, at least for me. And to see her go out and I agree, Walker, watching those like last couple matches, it was like, man, like I don't know how she's doing this, but like she's going out when she should. And I think she goes down for me as the greatest women's tennis player of all time. And I like the Tiger comparison because people will say like, well, but the most majors this person has it. And it's like, if we're talking about dominance, like she was so dominant in a sport, as you said, that you don't see dominance in it. And I wanted to go the Federer route, but you can't undisputably say that he's the GOAT because he's been with two other GOATs at the exact same time in the tennis game with Nadal and Djokovic. So, I mean, both of them were tough to see retire, but for me, Serena just edges it out because for me, I can't name another player from her era that you could even remotely compare to her. I don't think that there's one out there. No. So that's why I went Serena. Francis, what about you?
Yeah, I also went Serena. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think y'all hit the nail on the head on both of y'all's points. And I just wanted to add on, especially with the Serena and Tiger Woods thing, because, not to go on like a separate tangent, but many people put Serena and Tiger in the same sentence as two African-American athletes who have reached the top of a predominantly white sport. But I think something that I wanted just to give a quick shout out to was Serena and Venus Williams, obviously Serena's sister, their impacts on tennis outside of the tennis court and how you're seeing a slow but a real influx in African-American tennis players who are reaching the heights of the top of the sport. Naomi Osaka, Coco Gauff, Sloane Stephens, and Frances Tiafoe on the male side. You're seeing genuinely talented African-Americans come up the tennis ranks, and it's awesome. That's awesome to see. And now, look, there are tons of socioeconomic reasons why that same can't be said about the PGA Tour, and not all of that is definitely not on Tiger Woods by himself. That is not an indictment on Tiger Woods. It's not that simple. But the point should be made that Serena and Venus's impact on tennis in the African-American community is fantastic. There's a great article that I encourage all of y'all and everyone listening to this podcast to read. It's a New York Times article entitled "What Serena Williams Means to You." And it's just really great. I'm not going to spoil it, but I think you all should check it out. Her impact is awesome. It's monumental outside of the sport of tennis. And obviously as a tennis player, she's the GOAT. So Serena for me is the biggest.
All right, Mo, bring us home. Is it a Serena sweep or do you have another one in mind?
Nah, I got another one. I guess so we don't have a Serena sweep. Basically, I mean,
when she swept tennis for a decade, so I guess we can go a different route with yours.
Yeah, I mean, my only thing is, I mean, when she retired, like, yeah, she's the greatest player that retired this year. When you talk about in their respective sport and you talk about pure greatness, mine's Big Ben though, and believe it, I feel like Big Ben gets underappreciated. I really feel like the couple legal things that he had, and then towards
like he's no for an answer.
Yeah, but he should have hung it up probably sooner than he did. And so that kind of makes you forget, like you spend so much time saying like, you need to hang it up. You need to hang it up. You forget how good he is. Like, I'm sure there's people out there who really don't realize this is a 2-time Super Bowl champ. Like, and then I think with the way like the Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown and Big Ben breakup when they left Pittsburgh, I think overshadows like how good that man was in his career. And when we talk about like great quarterbacks in our era, like we bring up Peyton Manning, we bring up obviously Tom Brady, we'll even bring up Drew Brees, and it almost seems like we'll bring up Aaron Rodgers and like Big Ben never
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, like we'll bring up Russ before we bring up Big Ben. We're gonna get on Russ, but we'll bring up Big Ben won't get put in those conversations. And I'm not saying he's better than any of them or whatever, but I'm saying like he's a 2-time Super Bowl champ. He's top 7 or 8 in pass yards all time. Like this man really had an elite career. And it got overshadowed by like the greatness of Tom Brady, and then you would take Peyton Manning over Big Ben anyways. But I just feel like a guy who he kind of went out, he didn't go out on top, but just he went out underrated in a sense. And I think Big Ben didn't get really a lot of love that he probably should have gotten. Some are his own reasons, and then the drama in Pittsburgh the last few years of his career and him not going out when he should have and kind of prolonging retiring. I mean, just think about it. When we knew he was coming back for last year, we're like, oh my God, bro, like just hang it up, dude. We seen your arm has been shot for at least 2 years now. It was going on a 3rd year that we've seen like you can't do it at the high level that you once would and kind of ride off as much of a high horse as you can. But I think him retiring was just, it kind of got undershadowed by like a Roger Federer and Serena retiring. And then on top of that, like I think his career gets masked by a lot of the drama.
Can we talk about the fact that Big Ben somehow came out looking the best out of him, Lev Bell, and Antonio Brown?
Literally.
Wow.
Literally. Like think about everything that he went through, and he's coming out probably looking the best out of that trio.
Not probably.
It takes a lot to sabotage to the point where Big Ben comes out looking the best, but
I still think that there's something left for Antonio Brown. Like I think that morally we can probably figure something out. Like he's probably going to be okay.
Oh man.
Okay.
Oh,